On January 27, 2017, after over a month attached to the Harmony nadir port, the Japanese cargo vehicle HTV-6 had been unloaded of cargo. It was grabbed by the station's arm, moved out, and released. Following the undocking, HTV-6 moved to a safe distance from the ISS. Over the next 7 days, it performed the Conatori Integrated Tether Experiment, or KITE, using an electrodynamic tether to demonstrate space debris removal technology. On February 5th, the HTV-6 performed its deorbit burn and disintegrated over the Pacific Ocean. While the HTV-6 conducted its experiment, Progress MS-03 undocked from the Pierce on January 31, 2017, and deorbited over the Pacific Ocean later that day. 2 weeks later, on February 19th, SpaceX launched a Dragon cargo vehicle atop a Falcon 9 for the CRS-10 mission.
2, 1, 0. Liftoff. Dragon's in the first stage. It's the first stage. Section. That operations on
After MECO, the first stage landed safely at Landing Zone 1, the first daytime landing of a Falcon rocket on land. After the standard 2-day rendezvous orbit, the Dragon approached the station. Incorrect GPS data caused an approach abort, but the error was corrected, and on February 23rd, the Canadarm2 grabbed Dragon and berthed it to the nadir port on Harmony. On February 22nd, 2017, Progress MS-05 was launched atop a Soyuz U rocket, the 786th of its kind, from Site 15 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. After the standard 2-day rendezvous orbit, Progress MS-05 docked with the Pierce module on February 24th.
For the Progress 66 cargo craft, the second resupply craft to reach the International Space Station within 24 hours.
The CRS-10 mission ended on March 19, 2017, when Dragon was unberthed and let go by the Canadarm2. It performed several burns and landed about 320 kilometers southwest of Long Beach, California. A month later, on April 10, 2017, Soyuz MS-02 with Expedition 49 aboard undocked from the Poisk and returned to Earth. During the final stage of its descent, Soyuz MS-02 suffered a partial depressurization about 8 kilometers above the ground. When the main parachute was deployed, a buckle that was part of the deployment system struck a welding seam, partially depressurizing the capsule. The depressurization didn't put the crew in danger since they were already at a relatively safe height within the atmosphere when it happened. A week later, on April 18, 2017, Orbital ATK launched the Cygnus spacecraft, named SS John Glenn, atop an Atlas V rocket from Launch Complex 41 at the Kennedy Space Center.
And liftoff of the Atlas V rocket with Cygnus and the SS John Glenn, extending the research legacy for living and working in space.
Speeds and check pressures are good. HER roll program has begun. Body rates look good. Booster engine continues to look very good. Pump speeds and jet pressures in band.
On April 20th, 2017, while the Cygnus was still in its rendezvous orbit, Soyuz MS-04 launched atop a Soyuz FG carrier rocket from Site 15 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome on a fast track to the ISS.
The engine's firing, now building up to flight speed and liftoff. Jack Fisher and Fyodor Yurchikhin on their way to the International Space Station.
There were only 2 crew members aboard due to a decision to cut down the number of participating Russian astronauts in 2017.
930,000 pounds of thrust. Those 4 strap-on engines in the core. Getting good performance calls, nominal or normal so far for the first stage, continuing to operate well.
After less than 6 hours, Soyuz MS-04 docked to the Poisk module without issue. After 4 days in a rendezvous orbit, the SS John Glenn approached the station on April 22nd. It was grabbed by the Canadarm2 and berthed to the nadir port on Unity. On June 2, 2017, Soyuz MS-03 docked from the Rassvet module with Expedition 50 aboard and came back to Earth after 196 days in space. The next day, June 3, 2017, SpaceX launched a Dragon resupply vehicle atop a Falcon 9 from Launch Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This was the first reuse of C-106, a CRS Dragon cargo vessel that was previously flown on the CRS-4 mission. Falcon 9 first stage landed successfully on Landing Zone 1, making it the 5th successful touchdown on land and the 11th overall. After the standard 2-day rendezvous orbit, Dragon arrived at the station, was grabbed by the Canadarm2, and berthed to the nadir port on Harmony. Early on June 4th, the bolts securing Cygnus to the station were retracted, and the Canadarm2 unberthed the spacecraft. Crew members aboard the station maneuvered Cygnus to its release attitude and let it go. 1 minute later, Cygnus began carrying out a series of departure burns to move it away from the ISS. Re-entry for Cygnus was scheduled for June 11th. As the vehicle began breaking up in the Earth's atmosphere, 3 probes were released as part of the RED Data 2 experiment, collecting data on how high-temperature materials react to re-entry, as well as helping characterize how spacecraft break up on re-entry. A few days later, on June 14, 2017, Progress MS-06 launched atop a Soyuz 2.1A carrier rocket from Site 31-6 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome.
Engine to the pumps at flight speed. Engines at maximum thrust.
And liftoff. Liftoff of the 67th Progress resupply vehicle bound on a 2-day journey to the International Space Station. Roll, pitch, and yaw program in. Booster parameters are all normal.
Parameters are normal.
After the standard 2-day rendezvous orbit, Progress MS-02 docked with the Pierce module. Originally, Progress MS-06 was to have removed the Pierce from the station in preparation for the Nakua module. However, delays in the Nakua means that the removal of the Pierce was delayed. Having been filled with around 1,900 kilograms of cargo, Dragon was unberthed from the station on July 2, 2017, and moved to its release position by the Canadarm2. Poor sea conditions at the landing site forced a delay to the following day, and on July 3rd, crew members commanded the Canadarm2 to release Dragon, and soon thereafter the spacecraft began a series of thruster firings to move it away from the station. About 5 hours after departing from the ISS, Dragon closed its GNC bay door and conducted a 10-minute deorbit burn. Immediately after, the spacecraft jettisoned its cargo trunk and oriented itself for re-entry. Dragon splashed down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Baja, California. The Progress MS-05 cargo ship undocked from the Pierce on July 20th, 2017, and re-entered the Earth's atmosphere the next day. On July 28, 2017, Soyuz MS-05 launched atop a Soyuz FG carrier rocket from Site 15 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome on a fast track to the ISS.
Now on internal power. The launch command has been issued. You can see the rocket engines firing.
Second umbilical tower.
Power is going to start ramping up.
Engine turbopumps at flight speed. Engines at maximum.
Turbo pumps at flight speed and liftoff. Sergei Rosansky, Randy Bresnik, and Paolo Nespoli rocketing away from Baikonur and on their way to the International Space Station.
And liftoff.
You can see the very bright first stage engines cutting across the night sky there on Baikonur.
25. 20 seconds into flight. All systems are
getting reports, everything running nominally or normally for the first stage, so getting good first stage performance so far.
Less than 6 hours after launch, Soyuz MS-05 docked with the Rassvet module. A month later, on August 14, 2017, SpaceX launched Dragon cargo vehicle atop a Falcon 9 from Launch Pad 39C at the Kennedy Space Center.
1, 0. Liftoff of the Falcon 9. Falcon 9 is over tower. Move to 39A and post operations.
Copy, we'll go. We have Miko.
After Miko, the first stage of the Falcon 9 returned to landing zone 1.
You can see the stage separation. Stage 1 on the right, drifting back away from stage 2, continuing to power Dragon into space. And a sonic boom felt throughout the Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral Air Force Station area as Falcon 9 first stage
landing legs deploy
returns to Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, landing zone 1.
After the standard 2-day rendezvous orbit, the Dragon approached the station, was grabbed by the Canadarm2, and berthed to the nadir port of Harmony on August 16th. On September 2, 2017, Soyuz MS-04 with Expedition 52 aboard undocked from the Poisk module and safely returned to Earth. On September 13, 2017, Soyuz MS-06 launched atop a Soyuz FG carrier rocket from Site 15 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome on a fast track to the ISS.
And liftoff. Mark Vande Hei, Alexander Mazurkin, and Joe Acaba lifting off and now on their way to the International Space Station.
10 seconds.
10 seconds already into the flight, getting good first aid.
After less than 6 hours, Soyuz MS-06 docked with the Poisk module without issue. After a month docked, Dragon was unberthed and released on September 16, 2017. The Dragon capsule performed its re-entry burn and landed safely in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. A month later, on October 14, 2017, Progress MS-07 launched atop a Soyuz 2.1A carrier rocket from Site 31-6 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. After the standard 2-day rendezvous orbit, Progress MS-07 docked to the Pierce module without issue.
This high-definition external viewer camera on the International Space Station showing the Progress closing the final few feet before contact and capture.
On November 12, 2017, Orbital ATK launched a Cygnus resupply vehicle named the SS Gene Cernan atop an Antares 230 rocket from Wallops Island in Virginia.
Liftoff confirmed. Antares and the SS Gene Cernan now bound for the International Space Station.
After the standard 2-day rendezvous orbit, the SS Gene Cernan approached the station, was grabbed with the Canadarm2, and berthed to the nadir port of Unity. The SS Gene Cernan stayed docked for nearly 3 weeks, when the crew unberthed the Cygnus from the nadir port on Unity and stretched the arm to release position on December 5, 2017. After being released, the Cygnus made several separation maneuvers before deorbiting over the Pacific Ocean. On December 14, 2017, Soyuz MS-05 with Expedition 52 aboard undocked from the Rassvet. After several separation burns and a deorbit burn, the crew landed safely on the steppes of Kazakhstan just 3 hours later. The next day, December 15, 2017, SpaceX launched a Dragon cargo vehicle previously flown on CRS-6 atop a Falcon 9 launch vehicle for mission CRS-13. After MECO, the first stage returned and landed back at Landing Zone 1.
And there we have it, those 4 events all.
After the standard 2-day rendezvous orbit, Dragon approached the station, was grabbed by the Canadarm2, and berthed to the nadir port of Harmony. The same day Dragon arrived at the station, December 17, 2017, Soyuz MS-07 launched atop a Soyuz FG carrier rocket from Site 15 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome.
And with that, we see the fires lit, the engines start to roar, and lift off. Scott Tingle, Anton Shkaplerov, and Norishiki Kanai on their way to the International Space Station.
After the standard 2-day rendezvous orbit, Soyuz MS-07 docked with the Rassvet module without issue. The last event of 2017 saw Progress MS-06 undock on December 28th and re-enter the atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. There were no major disruption in launches in 2017, making it one of the most successful years in ISS history.